Welcome, Julie Jacky, coach and EFT practitioner here. Today, we are answering questions about EFT tapping. There's so many questions that people have when they first get started, or even if they've been tapping for a while. There's all different things that come up and we wonder about and we want answers to. So I'm going to take some time today to answer those questions for you. So some of you have already posted questions for me to answer. And if you're seeing this live and have questions that you would like answered, go ahead and put them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them for you. If there are questions that you asked today that need a little bit more explanation or are a little bit deeper than what I might be able to answer in this session, then I'll let you know that and I can answer them another time. All right, so I have a few questions that people presented to me, and I am going to start answering those questions. And like I said, if you have any other questions that come up for you or that you've been meaning to ask, go ahead and put them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. So one of the biggest questions that I get is, what do I say when I tap? It's like, Julie, you've been tapping so long, the words just flow out of you. Yes, that's true. I've been tapping a long time and I help people tap and I got certified and learned what to do. So it is easy for me, but it's easy for you too. This is the best tip that I can give you for what to say when you tap. So we all have questions going on or thoughts going on, phrases. There's always stuff going on in our head, always. And part of what we do when we tap is bring awareness to you. Hey ladies, welcome. We bring awareness to you and your thoughts, okay? Because you always have stuff fluttering around in here. And these thoughts that you have fluttering around actually can put you into fight, flight, freeze mode really quick. And so part of the training with EFT, or part of what, when we tap together, I'm trying to get you to do is to pay attention to what is fluttering around up here. Because it isn't always good stuff and we want to clear out that stuff. So awareness is a big thing with tapping, okay? So the first thing is the thoughts that are fluttering in your head is what you want to tap on. So even if you're first tapping and you don't know what to say and that's a thought in your head, you can literally tap on, God, I'm so frustrated with Bob, but I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to tap on. I don't know what I'm doing here. Because there's a little, like when you're frustrated with somebody or a situation or you're feeling in pain in your body, like you're probably in fight, flight, freeze mode. So it is hard because you can't be in the executive part of your brain at the same time where you think clearly, right? And you come up with creative answers and decisions, and they're two different parts of your brain. So you just want to start saying what exactly is going on in your head. So I'm so frustrated. I'm frustrated with Bob. I just can't believe what he said, but I don't even freaking know what to tap on. Where do I start? What do I say? Literally tap on that, because that will help you clear out some of that frustration. It'll help reduce your cortisol level, and then you'll start to have the thoughts even more come into your mind so you can figure out what to tap on. Now, another really great tip that I give people is imagine that you're talking to your best friend. Okay, some of you may have heard me say this before. Imagine you're talking to your best friend and they can't say anything. Like, they have to listen to you. They can't coach you. They can't tell you what to do. They can't give you sage advice or crappy advice. They can't do anything. They just have to listen. And so when people are listening to you and you really feel like they're listening to you, you open up more And that's what we want you to do. We want you to open up and share what's going on while you're tapping, because that's what you really need to clear out. The things that you don't want to say or admit to anybody is what you need to tap on to clear out. That will really help you. So when you imagine like another friend sitting in a chair in front of you and you're having a conversation, or if you don't want to look at them face to face, even in your imagination, you can imagine that they're on the phone. Okay, whatever you need to do to start feeling comfortable in that conversation where you're tapping. So just imagine that they're on the phone and you have something, a really tough situation going on. So you just start describing it to them. You know, gosh, I can't believe that Anita said that to me. She's talking behind my back and it's so hurtful to me. And describe where you feel it in your body. Like, when Anita was talking behind my back and she said all those things, my gut just really hurt. And just think about, pretend that you're talking to a doctor and describing what that sensation in your gut feels like. So my gut really hurt. It felt like somebody was taking a knife and stabbing it, or it felt like a big knot in there, or a heavy rock. You're just describing it, what's going on, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, any emotions. So is really hurt is an emotion. I just felt it in my gut and it felt heavy. So those are different things that you want to describe to your imaginary friend that's on the phone, or to the imaginary friend that's in the chair across from you, and you're tapping the whole while you're doing this. That's the most important thing in there, is because when you're feeling the sensations and you're expressing, you want to be tapping while you're doing those things, okay? Otherwise, you're just making the cycle worse by talking about something without doing something to relieve yourself or get yourself out of the loop. So always remember to tap. Now, there's times when we're super expressive and we're talking with our hands and we think that we have to describe something with our hands and so we can't tap. That's baloney. Think about what's happening when you're talking with your hands, okay? You're getting emotional and animated and you have to describe things. There's emotion happening in there, and you need to be tapping because you have two hands. You can do this with one hand and tap with the other. As some of us communicate with our hands. Most of us do. But you need to tap with one of the hands while you're doing it. So those are some tips of what to say when you're tapping. It's getting what's out of your brain while you're tapping, so whatever is fluttering around there, and one of the ways to do that is pretending that you're talking to somebody that their only job is to listen to you, okay? And then you're describing whatever is going on. So you're describing the situation, you're describing the sensation, you're describing the emotion, so whatever is going on, you're describing it while you're tapping. So remember to tap. All right, so Heather, I know the left side is female. Any other fun knowledge for what locations mean? So the left side is female, the right side is male. And when we know that there's something on the left side or the right side of our body, like say you feel something, a pain in your arm, and it's your left arm, well, there would be something related to a female in your life around that situation, around a situation that's causing the pain in your arm. There's always an emotional component to whatever we have going on inside of our bodies. So when I tap with people and they say something's on the left side or the right side, I always ask the question, who's that related to? Who's the person in your life? But I will say, who's the male in your life? Like if you have this is a funny example, if you have a pain in your neck and it's on the right side, who's the male that's a pain in your neck? Who in your life, the male, is a pain in your neck? and they'll go, ah, and they'll know exactly who it is. And so there's something about that person that they need to resolve that will help the pain in the neck go away. So any other fun knowledge on what locations mean? So I have some memes that I can post in our group that are about the different points that we're tapping on and what organ in our body they correlate to, as well as the emotion. So I will take some time to post those over the next few weeks so people can read them and kind of soak them in. It is it's an interesting question to see what the correlation is when you're tapping, why you might all of a sudden on this tapping session feel a sensation here when you don't normally feel it. You're just going through the motions and tapping, or why this point feels like you feel really drawn to it at this time. There's sometimes a reason for that, because it could be correlating with the organ or correlating with the emotion that is resonating with you most at that time. That brings up a point to me. You know, a lot of people are like, do we have to tap all the points? And do we tap where it hurts? It hurts on my shoulder. Do I tap on my shoulder? So when we tap on the different points, we want to tap all of the points in the sequence. They all have different emotions correlated with them, and then different organs in our body correlated with them, and different body parts. So when you have a situation that comes up in your life, and in the moment you're feeling anger, okay? So anger, we'll just put it at this level for emotion, right? So you're feeling anger. When you get to the point of anger, it's usually because you've had a boundary crossed for quite a while and you didn't address it during any of this time. So you got to anger and you're finally going to address it. And the finally that I just said, there's no judgment there. That's just where you're ready to address it. Sometimes we avoid it in here, like we don't want to address it and we kind of hope it goes away, but a lot of times it doesn't, and so we escalate to anger. Okay, now when we're tapping on the anger from the situation, we tap all the different points, not just the meridian endpoint that correlates to anger or the liver. The reason why we tap on all the different meridian endpoints is because here's the situation, it escalated, you got to anger, now you're ready to deal with it, but there's all these other emotions here that came up before the anger came up. You just didn't address it, but all those emotions are still there. So you need to tap all the different tapping points to address all the different emotions that might be hiding in that situation that are buried under the anger. Because often anger, there's a lot hurt, resentment, frustration, disappointment, and sometimes even sadness. So we want to tap all the different points so we can clear out all the different emotions coming up. I see another question here. Do body parts mean anything? Arm versus leg versus neck versus throat? So yeah, they all do mean things. There's one book that I use a lot when I'm tapping on my own stuff and when I'm tapping with clients. It's Louise Hay's Heal Your Life, or it's a little blue book that she has. I'll find a picture of it and post it. I can't remember the title of it now. It's a little blue book. I see it. I have it in my chair where I tap a lot. It's right on the little book stand, because whenever there's something going on, I will pull that book out and read, because what Louise did is she figured out that there's body parts, like different things going on in different places in our body, and there's some kind of common situation related to where we're feeling it in our body. And or it also could be a disease that she has listed in there. So if you're coughing, if you have a cold, or if you have inflammation, or an earache, all those things are listed in her book. So you go and find what it is that you're feeling. So it could be something in your thumb. So you go and look up fingers or thumb, and you see what it's related to. So there's something going on in your life that's related to the pain in your thumb. And then there's an affirmation there. So sometimes when I look up in that book, it's like, oh, I don't know if that resonates. For myself, that's true a lot, but it always resonates somehow. And when I look it up for other people and I read it to them, I, as the practitioner, see how it resonates, but they're like, oh, I don't know if that resonates. So we just tap on stuff and clear it out, and then they're like, oh, yeah, that really made sense. So I find that book of Louise's super, super helpful. And then the affirmation that is there that goes along with it is helpful. And of course, we tap on affirmations to clear out our resistance to them, to make sure the affirmation works for us. So there are, the body parts do mean different things. And so that book is super helpful. I'll post that, Heather, after we're done with this. I'll post that. Okay, so how do I know if tapping is working? So I want you to think about this. When you're tapping, a lot of you that are here have tapped with me before. And what we do when we tap is we take the measurements. We're measuring the levels of intensity in our body. So when we feel a sensation, we're measuring it on a scale of 0 to 10. When we have an emotion coming up, we measure it on a scale of 0 to 10. And sometimes we just measure the truth of a statement on a scale of 0 to 10. So when we measure, that is one way that helps us know if it's working or not. So when we measure, let's just make up an affirmation on the fly here. My savings account is overflowing. When we measure that on a scale of 0 to 10, how true is that for you? Let's just say, yeah, it's an 8. We're not a 10 yet, so there's some work to do there, right? So then we start tapping on that affirmation to clear out the resistance so we can get to a 10. And we notice the sensations in our body, right? This is true for any example, anything that we're tapping on. There's always some way to measure it. So that's why I always have you guys measure and get the numbers, because then we do a couple of rounds, have you check back in, and now where are you at? Well, I'm a 9, so I'm not a 10 yet, but I'm a 9, so it went up. So what does that mean? It means A, it's working because I just went up a number. B, I still have work to do because I'm not a 10 yet. You guys probably know this about me, but I'm going to state it over and over. I'm not good with mediocre. If I can get to a 10 and it's just going to take me another 5 or 10 minutes or a half an hour or 2 hours, I don't care. I'm going to do what I need to do to get to a 10. If that's something that, like my savings account is overflowing, like I want to be a 10 on that. I want to get all my personal resistance out of the way and be a 10, okay? I don't want to leave room for me not to have my savings account overflowing. And when I leave room, when I stay at a 9 and go, oh, that's good enough. I'm a 9. I mean, I was an 8, and before that I was a 3, so I'm a 9. I'm really happy with that. To me, that's not good enough. And it's not because my standards are so extremely high on everything I do or I'm a perfectionist. It's not about that. Why would you leave any resistance in your body to obtaining something that you would like to obtain? When we're tapping, we are clearing out low vibrating energy in our system. All of us want to get to feeling high, the love, the joy, the gratitude, right? Those are feelings that we want to be feeling all the time. And the only way that we can do that is by clearing out the low vibrations. And so when you're a 9 on something and 10 is the goal, take the extra 10 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, whatever it takes to get to the 10 to clear out the low vibrations so you're closer to being here all the time. Because that's what we're striving for. We want to be happy. We want to feel good. I mean, being happy for no freaking reason feels really awesome. And so we want, just think about, you just need to keep clearing and clearing and clearing and doing your work. So clear that crap out and get to a 10. Or depending on the scale, there's times that you want to get to a 0. And sometimes we think, oh, well, it's a 1 or it's a, sorry, I just realized I'm missing a whole bunch of comments here. I didn't scroll down. If it's a 1, don't leave it. Get to a 0. And sometimes getting to the 0 takes an extra 20 minutes. But there's a reason, like you want to get to a 0. Don't leave mediocre, low vibrating energy in your body. You want to clear it out. So do what you need to do to clear that out. So the measurements are how you know it's working. But the other thing is, you guys have tapped with me, you feel your body calm down inside. That's literally your cortisol level dropping, and you feel it, and you feel relaxed and calm and good, and you might even get the EFT glow. That's how you know it's working, okay? So also, another thing that you know it's working, so let's just say that you're really frustrated with a situation in your life, okay? So your emotions are really intense, you're angry and frustrated, okay? So you have that going on, and you start to tap, and you do some measurements, okay? Let's just say your anger level is a 10, and you tap, and then we check back in. And when we check back in, you're like, well, I'm still a 10. Well, it's disappointment now, but I'm still a 10. And you're thinking it's not working because you're still a 10. Well, it did work because you were angry at a 10. Now you've shifted emotions to frustration or disappointment or whatever I just said to a 10. So it is working when you shift. Okay, so when you shift from emotion to emotion to emotion, that's a sign it's working, because now you're getting in touch with those different emotions. You aren't just staying at anger. You're feeling the disappointment, the frustration, and whatever else is coming up. So that is another sign it's working. Now, one more sign that it's working is when you feel the sensation shift around in your body. So say it starts in your finger, and then it goes to your neck, and then it goes to your heart, and it goes to your knee. That's awesome. It's really awesome, because things are shifting. Energy is shifting in your body. And so you want that. That's a sign that things are shifting. Okay? And then, of course, I thought of another one. Anytime you yawn, cough, sneeze, burp, any of those things, you're releasing, and that is a sign it's working as well. So celebrate all of those. When you burp, go, yes, it's working. And when you sneeze, yeah, I just released something. When you yawn, when you cry, any of those things that happen when you're tapping, those are all signs it's working. So there's a whole bunch of signs that it's working. You just need to pay attention to them. All right, next question. How long do I tap for? Wouldn't it be great if that was just a quick hit answer? Like, I can't answer that and say, oh, 10 minutes. It really depends. It depends on how long the situation is going on. Because a lot of times when we have something in our current day life, it stems from our past. And it's carried forward and shown up in our life over and over in different ways. And now we're so frustrated with this situation, we're finally going to deal with it. So it might be that we go all the way back here to deal with the past situation. It could clear out in 10 minutes, or it could be 2 hours. It depends. But that's when you go back to How do I know if it's working? You pay attention to the signs, you notice if you're releasing, you notice if the emotions are shifting, you notice if the sensations are moving around in your body. Like, those are all the signs that we just talked about to know if you're clearing out whatever is going on. So you can table things sometimes. Like, sometimes I've been working with clients and we're working on this situation. And from this situation, this pops in and this pops in. But we can't clear all of those in one session, especially when we only have like 10 minutes left. So we give ourselves permission to table this other topic that popped in and finish focusing on here. And so literally just say, okay, body, I acknowledge you that frustration is coming up from this situation over here, and I'm going to write that down and table it and tap on it another time, and it's okay to do that. And you're just giving yourself some permission and acknowledgement to tap on that at another time. So you can stay focused on clearing out at least one thing that you started tapping on. So tapping, how long is a depends answer. It can be, it takes 5 minutes, takes 10 minutes, it takes an hour. It depends on what it is. So if you leave your chiropractor or massage therapist or your acupuncturist, I consider all those body work, I encourage you to tap when you leave. There's no prescribed amount of time to tap for, and there's nothing specific to tap on. You're just supporting the energy shift to continue after you leave those. So you're just tapping, you notice if there's any sensations in your body, and you're just tapping. There's no prescribed amount of time. If you have 2 minutes to tap, great. If you have 10 minutes to tap, great. A lot of times I would leave the appointment, be driving in my car, tap on this tapping point so I'm not tapping around my eyes while I'm driving, right? I tap on this point until I get to my next destination. And that's just supporting my body clearing something out. But there's no rhyme or reason. If my destination is 2 miles away and it's going to take me 3 minutes to get there, I tap that long. If it's 10 miles away and it takes me 12 minutes to get there, then I tap that long. But how long do I tap for is really until you feel the relief, okay? Another question that I had is, do you have to do repeated tapping on things, or does sometimes one session work? The answer to this is, again, it depends. So, when I was dealing with healing from sexual abuse from my childhood, I couldn't just tap on that one time and be done with that. That is not a one and done type of topic to tap on. I first tapped on the person's name and I was bawling, and that in and of itself was one tapping session. And that tapping on his name allowed me to then proceed and move to the other things that I needed to tap on. So I tapped on some different scenarios of when the abuse happened, the ones that impacted me the most and were the most difficult to do. So let's just pretend between age 11 and 17, I'm making this number up, but let's say I was abused 52 times in there, okay? I tapped on like the 3 times that stood out as the most horrific of those 52 times. And what happens when we focus on that is we don't need to tap on all 52. Because I focus on the 3 worst ones, it knocks down those other ones, okay? The other 49. So I didn't need to tap on all 52. I just need to tap on those 3 to help with those other ones, okay? Now, each of those 3 may have been different sessions. So now we've tapped on his name and 3 different times that I was abused. So that's 4 times I've tapped on sexual abuse, okay? Also did a whole bunch of therapy with EMDR. If you guys have any super emotional trauma from your past, I encourage you to find a therapist that does EMDR work. It's very similar to EFT, and it's super powerful. So I encourage you to do that. When I was doing my therapy work with my therapist that did EMDR, I also tapped on the side to clear out stuff that I wanted to clear out between our sessions. So I could do the surfacey work that I could handle, and then when I was with her, we'd go deep and do the deep work. Now, I'm going to explain, I'm still answering the question, do you have to do repeated tapping on things, or does sometimes one session work? So with something as deep as sexual abuse, that permeated my whole life. It impacted my health, my finances, my career, my relationships. Sexual abuse impacts a lot. We just don't realize it. And so as other things came up in my life, they actually had a little aspect of the abuse related to it somehow. Not everything that I tapped on, but it was, I noticed over time that the sexual abuse thing popped up a few times. Because if you think about it, when I was abused between age 11 and 17, multiple times, I was in fight, flight, or freeze mode, right? And so when I was around men, all different ages of my life, I could easily go into fight, flight, freeze mode until I dealt with the sexual abuse stuff through tapping and therapy. But then there's all these new behaviors to learn, like how to set good boundaries for myself, relating to my body, relating to what I want to do or don't want to do. And so the sexual abuse impacted my boundaries. So now I'm working on boundaries, and sexual abuse aspects come up. So that's one example where you can tap on multiple things around one topic in your life. But here's another example of a one and done. I had somebody stepped on my baby toe, and I tapped to relieve the pain. So right after she got off my toe, I started tapping, and I was focusing on the pain, and I tapped for 7-8 minutes. I don't know how long. I just tapped until the pain was gone, and the pain never came back in my toe. I didn't have to tap on it again. You know how you've injured your little toe, and when you've injured it, like a couple days later, like the pain has subsided, but then you knock it up against something and it hurts again. Well, that never happened when I tapped on it. So there's an example of something that you just tap on once and it goes away. So the answer is it really depends. So you guys, I realize we're already at 32 minutes and I know there's more questions. We can answer questions another time as well, as it seems like this kind of session helps answer a lot of things and helps you understand tapping more and brings it up into your mind more so you're able to do it. So you guys, I want to thank you for being here with me and asking the questions you had. I think we'll set up another session where I can continue to answer your questions. And then I also want to let you know that in October 2018, I'm going to be having a money course going on for the month of October. So that's something I want you to stay tuned if you're having any financial stuff coming up in your life. In addition to being an EFT practitioner, I'm also a certified financial coach, and I pair the two together and I help people on both sides, the emotional and the logical. And so I'm going to be setting that course up again. I've done many of those in person. I'm going to be doing this one online, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I want to just ping you to know that that is coming up, and I'll have information coming soon. So again, you guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for asking your questions. We'll do another session so we can answer more of your questions. So stay tuned. Take care, you guys. We'll see you soon.